Hey besties, welcome back to another episode of Tea and Takes with your host Simi. I hope you've been doing fabulously. I'm obviously excited. I hope you've been doing beautifully, and I hope your month, your week is going well. And if it's not, don't worry, I'm gonna say a prayer for you that it begins to go well. Well, we're jumping right into it, and if you listen to the last episode, you know that we were analyzing red flags, and I had scoured the internet to check for real life red flags. And as a dating girl myself, I was just doing an analysis to see if the red flags were valid, or if they were somewhere in between, or if they were just the person being nitpicky. So there were so many that I got in that we couldn't finish them last time, so we're going to delve into the remaining now, and they're still just as hot. So let's dive right into it. This next one says disrespecting personal space. So I think it's similar to one of the ones we had also delved into last week, and it says she constantly invades my personal space even when I'm clearly uncomfortable. And this one, I think, as I've said, the last one is similar, and so I think this one is valid. Very, 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 very valid. I know that it might not seem valid to some people, but I want us to deconstruct that feeling that just because we are in love with someone, we have a 100% right to their personal space at all keyword being all times, such that even when the person is uncomfortable, or when they are saying they need a break, or they don't want to, which the person just like, we feel like it's okay for someone to constantly disrespect our personal space. I think that, that's not it. I think that it's important that there are boundaries for any real relationship to be healthy and to thrive. There needs to be boundaries. And if someone, I know I don't want it to be where it's almost to the point where intimacy is then eroded, and I'm not for that. It's important for there to be intimacy, but there is a thin line between establishing intimacy by being close to your partner and then have it being control. And I think I said that towards the end of the last episode, that control is the genesis. And if someone is constantly, almost 2/7, every time they're around, they want to be in your personal space, such that you almost begin to feel claustrophobic, I think that there is a problem, and it is a control issue where they want to sort of control, it's how to explain how this is. It is a form of control because they want to sort of be in charge. They don't want any deviation from. It's like an anxious attachment of some sort. So yeah, I think that that's not healthy. Everyone should learn to be on their own and still feel loved. You should be able to sit down on your own, each party in the relationship, and still know and feel assured that the other person loves you. You shouldn't need to be in their space 2/7 to feel that. If you do, then there is a problem that needs to be addressed, and it's okay to feel like that's a red flag, because a lot of people who exhibit this type of behavior typically are not willing to work on it. So yeah, I wouldn't say you should be the one now doing therapies to work on it for them. Please let them go and deal with that. Next is laughing at different things. So this person is saying she laughs at jokes that I don't find funny, and yeah, I think that this person is definitely being nitpicky. I think that while people like to have partners who have similar sense of humor to them, I don't know that this one is one of the ones that I think that it's okay for people to find different things funny than you do. I think that what we find funny is a factor of our socialization. So for example, if you grew up in a place different from where I grew up, and there's like a cultural moment, like people say this thing that it can even be like a family thing. Like maybe in my family, because of our history, maybe our younger sibling said this thing at one time and it was very funny. Or if I just say that word to me and maybe my sister, that might be very funny, and we can crack up and we're rolling on the floor. But that might not be funny to you. That's definitely not a valid reason to not want to be in a relationship with someone. Yeah, I think sense of humor differences are not dangerous, and yeah, that's definitely being nitpicky. Next is unrealistic expectations, and this says he expects me to always be available to him, even during work hours. Immediately, what? No, in the bin. Let's it. Please, on both sides, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, anyone who wants you to be 2/7 available for them all the time, even when you're working, that person, first of all, wants you to be poor. The other person is encouraging you to be inefficient. That person is encouraging you to be sloppy at work. So what does that say about them? And especially if it's in the case of you being the woman as well, even more dangerous, because that's a risk that the person might be holding misogynistic beliefs and might actually be trying to use small ways like this to actually tarnish your work. Like, they might not like that you're thriving at work, and they might be using these backhand ways to make you sort of inefficient at work, or mess with your head while you're at work, so you're not concentrating and being the best and excelling. So yeah, either ways, and I think that is not spoken about enough when it is like in the case of a man, where like the girl or woman he's dating does not is always wanting him to be available at work. But that actually applies. And if you're a man dating a girl and you're seeing this type of sign, you also need to be careful, especially if you're ambitious and you plan to be successful, because there are women who don't want they want attention so much that they would literally sabotage your job, just so that they will sabotage. In fact, they almost say they don't want rich men because they want that attention. They're so anxious all the time that they would rather have someone who is they would rather sabotage your career and be like, oh, if he gets rich, he will not have my time. That is scary, and that is not it's a sign of just bigger issues. So yeah, if someone wants you to be available to them 24/7, we all know that the nature of work is that for you to do good work, you'll likely have to keep your phone aside, and it's okay for the person to just chat you during that break in the morning when maybe they're just still arriving and settling in, and after work. I think that wanting someone to be available to you all hours of the day, and they can't just explain like, oh, I'm busy, I had a meeting today and all that. And if not, they're just like upset. I think that that's a control issue, and yeah, you need to dip. Next is hobby differences, and this says she plays video games and I don't like them. And I think that this is definitely being nitpicky, and this is so peculiar that this was actually a guy saying that she plays video games, because I think that this happens with women, and I have had female friends that have told the same advice to be like, you're being nitpicky, when they said something like maybe, oh, this guy I'm trying to date, he likes football and in sports, maybe football or basketball, but like here in this part of the country it's usually football, and like, oh, he likes football so much, and like I don't want a man that like I'm very irritated by it. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, because like you like probably like K-drama, like you love K-drama so much, or you like whatever it is that we women have a lot of hobbies that we like to do frequently. And I think that in the case of the person I was telling this, she loves novels just like I do, and she also likes K-drama just like I do. And I'm like, you love your K-drama and you love your novels so much, why would you try to read someone of loving a sport or something else just as much as you like your K-dramas and your novels? I think that, yeah, people should be allowed to have different hobbies than you. In a healthy relationship, it's even good for people to, what they say, absence makes the heart fonder. I think that if you're doing everything together, it just can't get a bit, yeah, it can get a bit stale. I'm not saying it's not okay, but there needs to be like when everyone has like their thing that they're doing, sometimes it actually even makes it more fun. It is okay to have similar hobbies, but it's also okay to go do your thing. Yeah, so I think that one is definitely being nitpicky, and it's not valid. It's not a valid red flag at all. Next is dismissive of feelings. This is immediately no in the bin. So this says that he belittles my emotions. He says I'm overreacting to situations. He is always not listening to me when I speak about my feelings. As I said, immediately no. I think that someone invalidating your emotions is very damaging. I think even when you, on the other hand, when you think that thing is not a big deal to you, you cannot dismiss someone's feelings. Like if they felt hurt by that thing, and it's not for you to say they shouldn't have felt hurt. It's not actually, like, because offenses are contextual and they're very subjective and they're personal to that person. It is for you to, or you must always sort of at least I don't know if the word is validate, but acknowledge. Okay, I think that's a better word to say. Like, you must always first acknowledge your feelings. You can't invalidate it and say it shouldn't even be felt. No, I think that that's usually a sign of bigger issues. It might be a sign that the person is overly aloof and indifferent, and yeah, that's the type of person that will make you feel alone, because whenever you tell them how you feel, they will just tell you that you shouldn't feel that way and that you're overreacting. Yeah, I think that you gotta dip. Throw that away. Please run away. No. I think next is, wow, controlling social interactions. I don't want to know the example. Immediately no. In the bin. In the bin. So this example says he discourages me from hanging out with my friends and saying that they don't care about me. Control 101. No, I think that this is a valid red flag. Isolation from friends, family, loved ones is a big red flag. Please hear me say this from the top of the highest mountains. Anything, and it works both ways. I think that men sometimes don't pay attention enough to their red flags. I would say this again, men don't pay attention sometimes. Please, isolation, even as a man, if you're dating a woman who's trying to isolate you from your loved ones, from your friends, is also a red flag. So like, yeah, that should not be undermined. But like, as a woman, please do not date a man who is trying to isolate you and always like trying to be like, oh, why are we talking to this friend, or why are we talking to that friend, and why do you want to hang out with this friend? You have me already. Why are you trying to hang out with this other girlie or this other? Please, I just go beg you, don't do it. Deep now, no, that's a definite red flag. You should not, like, it's very important that like you are, it's not allowed is such a rubbish word to be using in a relationship where there are two consenting, big, free will having adults. But like, it's very important that you what's the word I can use if not allowed now? It's very important that when you're in a relationship, you are even encouraged. I think that's the better word. You're encouraged to have your life, because you must still remain an adult. In as much, a good love, good relationship is a relationship where you're allowed to, the union is good, but your individuality is also maintained. You're having your individuality must not be eroded for it to be healthy. Do you understand? It's important for you guys to blend, meld, and have your thing. That is, you got the two people together, but it's also important that you have your individuality. You still, whether or not you're a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a wife, a husband, you are still who you are as an individual. If I become Simi as a wife, I am still Simi as Simi, just a girl. If I become a mother, I'm still Simi as Simi, just a girl. I'm still an individual. And so it's important for me to do things that validate my individuality, like having friends, like going to work, like having hobbies. And anyone who is discouraging or who sees that as a bad thing, that I want to have a life, I want to enjoy things that are just me, I want to have alone time, I want to hang out with my friends, I want to have hobbies that are just me, not necessarily me doing it with a partner. I think that is someone who is trying to be controlling, and that is a big red flag. So yeah, that's a valid one. On to the next. Constant need for reassurance. He constantly seeks validation, making me feel responsible for his self-esteem. Wow. I think that constant dependency is a problem. I would say valid. Although in a relationship, it's normalized and it is expected that you should be reassuring your partner. Healthy reassurance is normal. You should be giving your partner positive words. You should be telling them like you love them. You should not have to ask you. You should tell them like, oh, I love you. You should validate how they look physically, all of that. Basically, it's good for you to build up the self-esteem of your partner. However, constant is what my problem is. There should not be a constant dependency where it is to like an extreme rate where like they're always seeking validation, and you see that the word there is it makes me feel responsible for his self-esteem. Immediate no. You must not. Everyone should come in with you're in charge of your self-esteem. Although your partner can impact over time your self-esteem, and that's why you're responsible for choosing a good partner that will not lower your self-esteem. But the main responsibility, just as even we've said now, which is like you're in charge of ensuring you pick someone who does not lower it, right? So meaning that the main responsibility of your self-esteem is with you, even when you're in a relationship. So yeah, you should not be with someone who is making you the person in charge of it and is wanting you to then constantly reassure them that they should have. I think that dependency, to me, because that need for reassurance is usually a sign of deeper issues. They're usually the type to want self-pity all the time and want to be in that victimhood space, and they're always the victims and always, whoa, it's me. I think, me, I would say that's a red flag. That's a valid red flag. It could spiral. I think it has too much of a possibility of spiraling into bigger issues. Phone screen time habits is the next one. So it says he spends an hour on his phone every evening. I think this is not valid. I think in this 2025, in this century we are in, everyone spends time on their phone. I'm a TikTok person myself. I'm currently online. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. I think that is valid that people stay on their phone, and anyone who is trying to be like, oh, you're on your phone to work, please, it's an hour. Nah, that person is definitely being overly, that's too much. I think that is very valid. As long as it doesn't interfere with like your responsibilities, you're allowed to have downtime. If it does not affect like communication, you guys talking and chatting, and if it's not also you being like every single time they want to be on their phone and just enjoy their alone time, that's when you want to talk. Please, I think that's just being nitpicky, in my opinion. That's just being nitpicky. Next is overly critical of family. He says he criticized my family, and he says that they are this and they're that. I think that this one is valid, especially if you're close to your family. I think that even if you're not close to your family, I'm the only one allowed to criticize my family. You as another person should not be criticizing someone's family. And I hope that everyone knows that. Like, even when someone is bad-mouthing their family member, I hope you know that you should not be adding to it. You can listen to them. You should not be like, yes, they are this. I think that's just like, nobody should be criticizing your family but you. And especially if you're then someone who is very family oriented and you guys are very chummy in and like cordial in your family. Because I know not everyone. I'm trying to make space for people who don't have that in their family necessarily. I think that no one should be criticizing your family. I think that's too much. Respect for family is very essential. If they cannot respect your family, that is very basic. It just means they will disrespect so many other people in your life. Excessive flattery. The next is excessive flattery with hidden insults. He compliments me, but in a way that makes me feel inadequate. And I think that this is valid because this insinuates manipulation. And as I said, anything that erodes your self-esteem, the main thing seems to be anything that erodes your self-esteem, anything that is control-based, anything that is manipulative, anything that is aimed to undermine your confidence and self-esteem is an immediate no. So this, somebody flattering with hidden insults, like it seems like a compliment, but they're actually doing backhand insulting you, and they're doing this all the time. You shouldn't even be doing it at all. Why are you shading somebody? Why are you shading your partner? Why are you throwing shade? So why are you trying to like undermine them? I think that's immediately manipulative. They're trying to mess with your mind, and they're trying to mess with your confidence and your self-esteem. So please throw the person in the bin. Dip. Next is overanalyzing minor details. Says he overanalyzes every text message I send. He's looking for hidden messages. Wow. I think I wanted to say in between because I know that everyone overthinks. Not everyone, but in majority, many people do overthink, and it is not healthy. And I think that we will talk about overthinking in a future session. It's something that should be worked on. But if it then become like every single text message, I think that stems from them being insecure. And a lot of times, sometimes people's insecurity, they're not actively working on it, and they see nothing wrong in this. It can stem to become a bigger issue of control. So overanalyzing every single text message, looking for hidden meanings, looking for something negative is exhausting as well. Like it will become a relationship that will become exhausting and toxic, where you then feel the need to over-explain and overthink every text message you're sending. I think that this one might be a no for me. So I would say valid red flag. Very red flag. But I think that the caveat would be that it depends on the frequency. Most people overthink, especially when it's relationship, because you're not in the other person's head. So it is possible to have misread what the person said once in a while. But if it becomes an everyday thing where they are always assuming that there's something, I think that can be exhausting. So you might need to evaluate if you want to be dealing with all that insecurity. Next is minor accent or speech quirk. Immediately ridiculous. Immediately nitpicky. It says, oh, he pronounces some words differently from me. I think that that one is automatically, everyone would agree that that is just ridiculous. An accent or a speech quirk is just like, yeah, it's not a marker of intelligence, which I know some people think. Some people think that accents are a marker of intelligence, but I have met some very intelligent people who have speech quirks, who speak in a certain dialect or accent, but they have been some of the most intelligent and emotionally intelligent people I've met. Very reasonable, have the ability to think outside the box. I think that's neither here nor there. Your accent too is an accent to another person, and they too, what if they infer unintelligence just because of your accent? So yeah, I think that one is not valid. That's definitely nitpicky. And the next is excessive jealousy, and this one says that she gets jealous when I talk to other women, even if they're just friends. I think excessive in the word is what is giving me the irks. I think that I would be, if it's excessive jealousy, I'm like immediately no, very valid red flag. But if it's just jealousy, I would say in between, because I think that that's something that comes with relationships in general. Once there is a relationship, people usually are like, oh, who are you talking to? I think that one is a normal part of dating, to be like, yeah, who's that girl and who was that friend? But if it becomes excessive to the point of insecurity and control, where they don't want you to speak to anyone but them, yeah, I think that one you need to dip. If it's excessive, where they don't want you to talk to any other woman but them, they're like controlling, they're like checking every interaction, they want you to have no male colleagues or female colleagues, and like it's just like it be going crazy, I think that one is a very valid red flag. But if it's just like regular relationship, friendly, not harmful possessiveness of like, oh, who was that woman you're talking to, or that person was a bit too touchy with you, I think that one is normal. So I guess I'll be in between. If it's just jealousy, if it's excessive jealousy, it's an immediate red flag. Next is occasional forgetfulness. This one, it says he forgets to put the cap back on toothpaste, and just give examples of just minor things. I think that one is not, it's just being nitpicky. Sometimes some people have strengths in some things, like sometimes they're very, very, very almost OCD innate, and another person might not be. That's not sometimes a valid reason. I think it's just a difference in what people prioritize. Some people don't think that that's like the biggest thing in the world, to talk everything and make everything. Listen, if it is a big deal to you to the extent that it would affect your mental health, I think maybe you can find someone that is like that too. But if not, honestly, it might just be something you need to work on with yourself. Like, okay, I think I'm just being nitpicky. The rest of the world doesn't have to bow to my every prim and proper, and I might actually be making other people uncomfortable by making this a big deal every time. So yeah, I think we're at the last one now, which is disrespecting small social media habits. And this says he likes certain posts that I find annoying. And this one, I want to say not valid, but I also want to say in between, because I think that people are allowed to actually like their social media, and sometimes social media is not deep. Sometimes it's for humor, sometimes you like the quirkiness of it. Sometimes you don't necessarily believe in what the person is saying, but you just like the audaciousness of the post, you like the shirts they're wearing. But I don't want to say just not valid or nitpicky, because sometimes it is a reflection. Some people's social media can be a reflection of you as a partner. So if they don't like it, and if it is very extreme, imagine someone is liking, like, I don't know, oppressive stuff. I think that should make you worry. Or if they are saying as a woman, if a woman is saying highly, intensely misogynistic things, and say like, oh, and liking posts about, I don't know, beating women and abuse, and saying that it's valid and right, should you just ignore? I think not. So I guess I'll be in between for that one and say, yeah, that can be a red flag, or it just depends. Sometimes it's not that deep, but sometimes if it might be telling of greater issues, then one needs to take it seriously. Alrighty, that's a wrap for this episode and this series, I guess. It was lovely to break down this red flags with you, and I hope you gained a lot from it. Please drop down below in the comments a red flag, whether quirky or nitpicky, or in between, that you have dropped a relationship or potential relationship for. And yeah, that's it. Please please share with your friends, please subscribe so that you know when I drop another one. And until next time, I do love you. I'm thinking about you, and I'm so happy. Thank you so much for your support and for listening this far. It means so much to me. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely coming week. I love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.